Bradley with Matt Shea News. Back in December 2004, Sprint and Nextel announced they would merge to form Sprint Nextel Corporation. While billed as a merger of equals, the merger was transacted as purchase of Nextel Communications by Sprint Corporation for tax reasons. Separately, these two telecommunication companies were much smaller than AT&T and Verizon Wireless, but together they would nearly rival the two wireless leaders in size. The theory was that combined, they would have the bulk to get the latest phones, best prices on equipment, and most complete network for wireless customers. Sprint CEO Gary D. Forsey said, "The combination of Sprint and Nextel builds strength on strength." At the time of the merger announcement, Sprint and Nextel were the third and fifth leading providers in the U.S. mobile phone industry. Sprint Nextel was officially formed on August 12, 2005, but not long after did the deal turn into something of a fiasco. An aggressive strategy for the combined entity to become a leader in wireless broadband services and content had been laid out. However, a former senior-level insider said there was so much going on after the merger that there was a lack of focus. As stock prices plummeted, poor service was blamed as the central reason. Let's now take a deeper look into Nextel and Sprint.
Before the Sprint-Nextel merger, Sprint was the third largest wireless phone company. However, it was a distant third with only 20.1 million customers compared to more than 40 million for each of the two largest providers, Verizon and Singular. Nextel had 15.3 million customers before the merger and was fifth behind T-Mobile. Sprint and Nextel decided if they merged and were able to get 5 million additional subscribers through affiliates and partners, they could have 40 million customers and compete with Singular and Verizon. The company said that their customers were worth more than competitors' subscribers, with the highest average revenue per user. That is greatly due to Nextel, which has been a pioneer in the walkie-talkie service on cell phones. Sprint's revenue per customer was about $61 a month, just above the industry average, while Nextel's average revenue comes to about $71 a month. Sprint and Nextel decided if they merged, they would be able to save money. The company decided on a 12-member board, 6 from each company. It maintained offices both at Nextel's Reston, Virginia headquarters as well as Sprint's Overland Park, Kansas headquarters. Sprint Nextel had a complete lack of integration by maintaining 2 headquarters. When they first agreed to merge, each side had a market capitalization near $33 billion. Now the whole company's market cap is $25 billion. The company reported a net loss of $29.45 billion, which is more than its market capitalization. Nextel had several offerings that made them an ideal acquisition target for Sprint. The big focus for Sprint was to obtain Nextel's strong customer base that was highly oriented in the service industry. One feature that gave them this edge was their sub-second push-to-talk service, which allowed customers to connect with each other by the push of a button. Nextel also had a solid cash flow along with low customer churn that was a key success factor in the industry. With the merge came expectancies of major capital investment synergies, valued at $12 billion that seemed promising at the time of the deal. The merge would allow the saving of multiple expenses. Reducing the number of cellular sites and switches would reduce total network operating expenses. By extending the advantages of Sprint's current deployment of next-generation EVDO technology to the combined customer base, including the migration of Nextel's push-to-talk services to Sprint's CDMA network, would lower overall capital expenditures. Along with the push-to-talk migration, Sprint wanted to transfer Nextel's backhaul and other telecommunication traffic to their own long-haul infrastructure. By consolidating operations, infrastructure support costs, and overhead while maintaining high-quality services, they expected to optimize customer care, billing, and IT costs. Other costs that they hoped to reduce were Sprint and Nextel's combined sales and marketing costs, general and administrative costs, and the total network capital expense after the merger by building a true IP-based multimedia network.
And now we're going to hear from a former Nextel employee who was with the company for 6 years and hear an insider view on why he feels the merger failed.
The next big competitor to compete with AT&T and Verizon, come on, turned out to be a total. One of the reasons why I think that turned out to be a little was our views on customer service. They just didn't align. First off, you had Sprint with their quantitative management approach, and you had Nextel, us, with our qualitative approach. Before the merger, we would talk about things in our meetings we would talk about things like churn. And churn refers to the rate at which customers drop our service in a given month. And what we would do is we would use that to evaluate our short term, the quality of our customer service in the short term. And Nextel, before the merger, had the lowest rate in the industry. But after the merger, churn was completely thrown out the window. The Sprint executives came in and we never talked about churn again. So they came in with their numbers-oriented approach, and they were all about us reaching a certain number of new contracts in a month or keeping customer retention rate up. Whereas before the merger, we were focused on quality care. If a customer calls in with a problem, we would take as much time on the phone call as needed to take care of that customer, to resolve the problem. But now they're like, no, don't do that. Shorten your calls, keep customer retention rate up, and get new customers. Renew contracts, get new contracts. They even set a sales quota for us. So basically they threw quality customer service out the window and they turned the call center into a cost center. And yeah, we weren't used to that, so it just didn't really match when they came in and implemented their numbers-oriented approach. So that is basically one of the reasons why it failed, was our two different views on customer service.
Now let's take a look at a former Sprint employee and hear what she has to say about why she thinks the merger failed.
The $36 billion merger of equals simply never came together because of the complete lack of integration. Nextel and Sprint each kept their separate headquarters. It was, although they're promoting, stick with your old company, let's not fully integrate. Such a mistake. Nextel employees never adapted to our strategy, which was to keep the costs down. This mainly pertained with customer service. Customers would call in and Nextel employees would spend hours on the phone with them trying to, gain their service and loyalty, which is good, but keep it short. We had incentives and bonuses in place to really get them to, keep the call short, but they never understood. They weren't willing to adapt. They never understood seeing call centers as cost centers, which was really an issue. It simply didn't work.
Now that we've heard from that former Sprint employee, let's take it back to former Nextel employee Roy Shelton and hear what he has to say about the technological differences between the two companies.
Another major problem with the merger was our technological differences. Like, for instance, we had to put our radios on their towers and they had to put theirs on ours. So that took a long time and that was sort of a mess. And, customers were unhappy with that. Additionally, our customers were upset with the fact that Sprint Nextel was going to stop selling Nextel's phones. They wanted to move all the Nextel customers to Sprint's program. Last quarter alone, Nextel lost 455,000 subscribers, and only half of them re-signed with Sprint.
So as you can see, essentially Nextel originally had a differentiation strategy where they were focused on providing superior customer service. In contrast, Sprint focused on lowering costs and running customer service centers as cost centers. Sprint focused more on getting new customers and keeping old ones. So because the two companies had opposite business strategies when it came to customer service, they were unable to successfully merge. The attempt to force these two different strategies together was a critical contributor to a failed merger. The Nextel chapter of Sprint's disastrous 2005 merger is less than a year away from coming to a close. Though the company has already stopped selling Nextel phones for consumers, it will discontinue them across the board over the next few months. Sprint Nextel could end up ditching the second half of its name, shedding one of the most prominent reminders of its failed $36 billion dream. Sprint Nextel said back in May of this year that it plans to completely shut down the Nextel network as early as June 30th, 2013. That's it for us here at Match News. Thanks for watching.